Ms. Greer, you need to unmute yourself. Ms. Greer?
Ms. Greer just called me. She can't get in the meeting.
And our secretary is not here.
She's not able to get into the meeting, she said.
Ms. Greer said that?
Yes, she just called me.
All right, Jim, would you be able to look into that, please?
Yeah, I still see participants coming into the meeting. We're at 51 at this time.
All right, I'm gonna look through our list one more time. All right, well, I guess all right, I guess I can go ahead and call the roll. So, Klein?
Here.
Hoyda is here. Smith?
Present.
Corcoran?
Here.
Elvin?
Here.
Goodfriend?
Here.
And Lunkins. All right. We move on to our recitation of our district mission, vision, and beliefs. And since I started off last time, Mr. Smith, would you like to start with the mission this time?
Sure. Oak Park School's mission. Our inclusive learning community provides the best academic and social experiences by educating the whole child, one child at a time.
Thank you. Mr. Elvin, would you like to do the vision?
Sure. The vision, cultivating visionary leaders and compassionate citizens to be engaged in the global community.
All right, thank you. And now we move on to our beliefs. And Trustee Goodfriend, would you like to read the first one?
We will create safe, physical, emotional, cultural safety.
Okay. Trustee Corcoran, would you like to read the second one?
We will build positive, productive, and supportive relationships with all members of the community, including students, parents, and local leaders and businesses.
All right, and Mr. Klein, would you like to read the third one?
Actually, I think I have the wrong. I was looking at this, but I think
It's in board book. It's in your board
I'll
book.
go ahead and read it for him. You got it?
I will find it, but I'll pass on this one.
I'll go ahead and do the third one, and you can do the fourth one. We will use equitable anti-racist instruction to instill a growth mindset and help all students reach their highest potential. You have it now?
I see the mission and the vision, but I don't see the beliefs.
It's right
Okay.
underneath it.
Hold on, click it.
Underneath that, I have call to order. I thought it was on this sheet of paper that we got this
No,
laminate.
it's in board book. But if you
Let me
don't-
pass this one. I'll get it next time. I'll do two next time.
All right, so we'll go to Trustee Elvin, would you like to read the fourth one? Or were we up to the fifth one? Sorry.
I'm reading the fifth one. We will work together.
The fourth one, you're right.
Fourth one, we will prepare all students to be thoughtful, successful, and engaged members of the global community.
And Trustee Corcoran, do you want to read number 5?
Sure. We will work together to responsibly maximize our resources with transparency and accountability.
All right, thank you, everyone. And we move on to our approval of agenda and order of business. So do any board members have questions or changes to the agenda?
Action items.
I'm sorry, Trustee Corcoran, did you have a question?
I'm sorry, no,
or-
I was reading out loud.
Okay. Any board members I don't see any. So if there's no objection, we will approve the agenda by unanimous consent. And we move on to approval of the consent agenda. So there are 3 items on the consent agenda today. There are the minutes for our meeting from February 8th, the personnel action report, and then the January 2021 financial statement. Do any board members want to remove any of those items from the consent agenda? Okay, then those items are on the consent agenda. We will have a voice vote to approve the consent agenda. So all in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. The consent agenda is approved. And we move on to reports. We start with our superintendent, Dr. Hitchcock.
Good evening, President Hoyta and board trustees. I am going to share a little bit about our back to school plan timeline. So as you know, the board approved for us to provide an in-person option to families beginning on April 5th. And our staff will be coming back on March 15th, and administrators in the administration building return today. So it was nice to be back in the building and back into the swing of things with everyone there. We all have been in and out intermittently, but today we were all there together, and it felt like it did before COVID, which is hard to imagine right now, life before COVID. But it was nice to have everybody back today. So we're excited about having our teachers back on the 15th. And in preparation for that, we have put together a number of different things. Carol Diglio is going to talk about some of the training that is happening that we're preparing for. And I'll share a little bit about our timeline. So tomorrow, in fact, we will have an opportunity to have what we're calling a virtual fireside chat called Navigating In-Person Learning. We have the privilege of having our epidemiologist from Oakland County Health Department, the lead nurse, and of course our district nurse, as well as the executive team available to answer questions. We'll be talking a little bit, asking the epidemiologist questions, clarifying any concerns, and providing information, factual information that's updated to all of our staff that attends. Then we are going to have an opportunity to hear from 3 different principals in neighboring school districts this week as well. So we have a principal from Walled Lake, a principal from Novi, and a principal from Birmingham. They will be joining us this week and have an opportunity to brainstorm on Wednesday and Thursday with our principals about all of the practical steps that they have taken. And if they had it to do over again, they would have the opportunity to do some of these things. So I think it'll be a great opportunity to have a candid discussion with some area principals about different steps that they took to prepare to return in person. Then on Thursday, we have another fireside chat that is titled Staying Safe with Testing During In-Person Learning. And Carol will talk a little bit about the extension of our testing with the Henry Ford Health System. But I do want to take this opportunity to recognize Janae Scott. She is a community member, but she is also a nurse, and she oversees the Global Health Initiative. But she is an Oak Park resident, and she has been so kind, supportive, collaborative, willing to help us in our community any way possible. And so we really appreciate her partnership. It definitely has not gone unnoticed, and we want to recognize her for that. And then our district nurse and our executive team will participate in that. And then we have our last fireside chat next week called Self-Care During In-Person Learning, where we will have Rabbi Goldberg join us to talk about different self-care strategies that we're not only teaching our students, but our adults are supporting in our buildings as well, along with our district nurse and our executive team. And we will have a representative from FEMA who's the liaison to help provide support for mental health care for educators. So we are excited about those opportunities. In addition to our timeline, we've built in days for a couple days of planning, curriculum planning for teachers, a day of classroom preparation, and of course we have a professional development day coming up as well. So we are really excited to welcome everyone back and want to be ultra prepared and want everyone to feel as comfortable as they possibly can. We know that our numbers are increasing in terms of the number of staff members with vaccines. Because our staff was on break last week, our different associations are working to get a solid number of where things stand. But I can tell you that there are many, many staff at the administration building who at least have their first dose. From what I understand from many of our association presidents, the staff members who want to get a vaccine, many of them have been able to at least secure a first dose. I was fortunate enough to get my second dose last week, which was really exciting, and even more fortunate that I didn't suffer from any side effects from that. So we would like to encourage any staff member that wants to get vaccinated to please sign up on the Save Your Spot for Oakland County Health Department on their website. And if you have already gotten a vaccine from a private health facility like a hospital or a pharmacy, to please go on and remove your spot so you can make space for other people in the area. We also learned that we have a number of other staff members who were recognized by Oakland Schools for the Above and Beyond Award. So I would like to recite the name of the recipients, other recipients, in addition to Ms. Tarver, who were recognized by Oakland School. We have Megan Pohl, Carl Dade, Kara Hess, Karina Otto, and Anisha Redmond. So we want to give them a special thank you for all of their support and work and dedication to all of our students. We really, really appreciate and value that. So with that, I am going to, the last thing, I would like to recognize our building leaders for their hard work. They returned today all in person with their administrative assistants, and they are really working hard to prepare not only for COVID-19, but they've been involved in an instructional leadership academy that's really centered around supporting teachers and building their own instructional practice as leaders. And they have done an amazing job. We're looking forward to virtually visiting and hopefully one day in person visiting Miss Vermiglio's ninth grade learning community. We're going to visit a few teachers virtually and take a look at all of the great things that are happening in the classrooms and sharpen our instructional practice tools so we can better support our staff. And we will also be visiting Key Elementary School with Dr. Hugan. So we're excited to visit both schools and look forward to sharing more great information about that. So I am going to turn it back over to you, Mr. Hoyda. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hitchcock. Do any board members have questions for the superintendent? All right. Is Mr. Barr with us tonight? I didn't.
No, Mr. Barr wasn't able to join us tonight. So we're going to move over to Carol or Cassandra.
Cassandra. So we move to our Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, Ms. Cassandra Baptiste.
Good evening, everyone. So tonight we have our reconfirmation meeting, which is required 30 days each month. And so we're reconfirming how instruction is going to be delivered. We take public comment from parents and or guardians regarding our extended learning plan, and we will review our two-way interaction rates. What I might do is just switch the order just a little bit, which is the first part, reconfirming how instruction is going to be delivered, go over the two-way interaction rates, and then leave the last portion of it for public comment. So I'm going to share my screen. And this is on Fit. I believe everybody can see my screen. Okay. And so what I've done is this reconfirmation plan is available each month. It has the links to our original extended COVID-19 learning plan and anything that has been updated. So our last board meeting from February 8th, the presentation that highlighted and outlined what the return to in-person learning looks like is linked into this document. And we basically from that last meeting, we've indicated that the current mode of instruction throughout the month of February, leading into the month of March, students will be receiving 100% of remote instruction. But beginning April 5th, there would be in-person learning options. Learning hubs, we're exploring the concurrent learning model and hybrid model schedules currently. And we also, of course, there are families that may opt to not return in person. And so there will be virtual learning opportunities for those families and students as well. And this just highlights, as from the very beginning, all of what the online learning options look like, how we post assignments, how we assign grades, and the fact that two-way communication takes place using MyStar. And so the very next thing I want to do is review our weekly two-way interaction rates. We are to meet a 75% threshold, and our district has met that, including our alternative education school and our virtual academy. We have met that threshold as a district over the past 4 weeks, over 90%. And it also has, we pull data that showcases for every single school community across our district what those two-way interaction rates are. And at this point is where I will take the public comment from parents and guardians.
All right, so once again, a reminder to the community that if you have questions about the plan, please contact your building administrator, their Orth Central office. They'll be very happy to answer any questions. What we're looking for at this point is any feedback or comments that people have for the board as we consider today voting to reconfirm the plan going forward. So if you do have any comments or feedback you would like to provide us, this is a time for parents to do that. Please type into the chat that you would like to make a comment or raise your hand using the participants tab, and I will call on you and give you an opportunity to speak. So at this time, are there any parents or guardians of students in Oak Park who would like to provide feedback at this time? All right, I don't see any, so thank you, Ms. Baptiste.
Thank you.
And we move on to our Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, Ms. Diglio.
Good evening, everyone. Just some updates, as Jamie said, around COVID preparation. We've been preparing for months, but we're getting closer to an opportunity to start putting some of these items in play. We have conducted a training session with our administrators on February 10th. The continuation of that training is going to go on this week, the 23rd, the 24th, and 25th. And really those days have been designed around a preparedness to return roadmap manual and all of the documents that are aligned with the CDC and the Oakland County Health Division in preparation for not only our administrators, but also our administrative assistants, so that they are able to best support our teachers and students when everyone is back on campus. So that training also includes preparing of all the PPE to be distributed in the buildings and individual classrooms. Just really happy to work with Steve Barr, Steve Burnett, and Eric Washington with DM Burr and BM Burr's team have been amazing in getting all of that distributed and the buildings ready for folks to come back in. Part of the training also, in addition to COVID-19, is has to do with just basic school health. If you guys remember earlier in the year, I talked a lot about immunizations and getting caught up with immunizations and implementing a school health program. And the school health program is for everyday basic health minus COVID-19. So how to intake medication if students are required to be on medication during the school day, how to intake and how to set up a medical plan if that's necessary, how to store everything, how to use an EpiPen. Nurse Long and Mr. Burnett have been working, and in fact today tried out new AEDs. We're getting new AEDs in the building, which will also include training, and just really preparing the buildings for COVID and outside of COVID for everyday school health for children. I cannot say enough about Janae Scott, as Jamie did earlier. After our last board meeting, when the question came, how long or will they extend the COVID free testing every Wednesday? It took an email during that meeting, and Janae said absolutely. And she said, how long? And I said, how about till June 15th, which is the last week of school? And she said, you got it. Like, when we ask for support, she's there to give it. It's just amazing how the community comes together in that regard. And we can't thank her and her team enough. This afternoon, Dr. Hitchcock, Nurse Long, and myself met with a gentleman who helps with distributes, and I believe he was a creator of the Clear to Go app. And the Clear to Go app has so many different ways to use it, but basically it's an online screener through your phone, and it can be tailored to set up anything we want in Oak Park to follow all of our manual, all of our plans through the CDC, and how we will be screening folks to come on campus every day. And this just gets rid of the paper and puts it on an app. And we're going to be meeting with a gentleman named Joe on Friday, who's assigned to our district to set up all the behind the scenes. It is free through Oakland Schools. So Oakland Schools has engaged with this company and is making that app free to all the schools in Oakland County. And there's quite a few districts using it right now. And we were really impressed with the flexibility and how it's going to help communicate pre-screenings on a day-to-day basis. Much of the training on February 10, 23rd, 24th, and 25th will be condensed and delivered for what teachers need on March 5th. So March 5th, our secondary staff will get 3 hours of the COVID training on how to respond and how to mitigate and how to wear masks and all of that good stuff on March 5th. And then the afternoon, we'll have the elementary. So we'll do it in 2 halves. So it's a little bit more intimate and we're able to ask questions and take them through a couple of the different activities that we're doing with the leadership team these last 4 days. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was, we're talking about these 2 health fields, one COVID-19 and one general school health. The Nurse Long and our Oakland County nurse Maddie has been working on and pulling nicely together a catalog. So it's a catalog of all the materials and videos and PowerPoints that are put into 2 catalogs, one for COVID-19 and one's for school health. And that catalog will be released so that when the teachers are back on campus, they will be able to identify school age appropriate videos to start showing our kids between March 15th and April 5th on their return. So our children are getting some of the training as well, what they need, how to properly put on mask, wear a mask, how to mitigate, what is social distancing, why do we have arrows on the floor, why does our school look a little different right now, why are we sitting in this format. So we'll start giving the students those lessons as well. And the nurses have creative videos that are school age appropriate. So elementary and secondary, and have done a really good job with that. So those are a number of different things in addition to what Dr. Hitchcock said that we are doing to support and help protect and guide our staff and students through. So thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Do any board members have questions for Ms. Ziglio? Trustee Goodfriend.
Thank you for your report.
Is there a question? I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm
Yes, Trustee
saying,
Goodfriend has a question.
thank you for your report. AED, would you please tell me what AED stands for? I may have forgotten.
Defibrillator.
AED, is that not the first subject matter that you brought up this evening?
Yeah, it's
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I think I can't hear anyone, but you guys
So-
can hear me. I'm going to take these off and
It's a defibrillator.
yeah,
be having audio
It's
problems.
an automatic external defibrillator.
yes.
So it's the item that we have placed for if someone has a cardiac event. So that
Fine.
they can
Thank
use
you very much. I appreciate that. I do know what it means when it's all used. 3 words. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right.
And I apologize. I can hear now if there was a question for me. I didn't hear any of that. So if there's something I can help with.
Does anyone else have a question for Ms. Ziglio? All right. Trustee Corcoran?
Yeah, I just had a quick question in regards to the training pamphlets. I believe you mentioned, are those like booklets? I guess because what I'm asking is if the board could get like a copy, if it's an instruction, to the students coming back on how to properly prepare for in-service.
So they are manuals for adults, but everything in the
adults.
classroom, Jamie's holding hers up. It's a manual. And at the beginning of this, we had to put together a preparedness to return roadmap. And that has completely been revamped because things have changed so drastically. So we had to rewrite it, and we realigned all of the support documents to align with the CDC and the Oakland County Health Division. The items that will be available for kids will be signs throughout the classroom, all of the personal protection equipment throughout the classroom. There are videos that our nurses have made so that that our staff can show to our kids to prepare them for coming back. But if you would like to see the manual or PowerPoint that we have that we've been using to help the staff, by all means, I'm happy to share that with you.
Yeah, I was just curious, to what it looks like. That's all. Not to,
Yeah. How about if I add it to our Friday memo, our Friday board update?
That would be great.
Okay, happy to share it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Trustee Elvin.
Yes, Ms. Diglio, curious about what kind of feedback you've been getting from staff, if any, relative to preparation for return.
That's a great question. The real effort has been around making this interactive. So there's been a lot of activities and small group work in our basic overview of the manual on the first day. Tomorrow, they're going to be in their buildings. So I'll be Zooming from central office and we'll cover part of the manual. Tomorrow's going to get a little heavier because we're going to be talking about when you're in your buildings and if symptoms are presented. So if I'm a teacher in a classroom and I notice a student is presenting COVID symptoms, what do I do? That means you're going to send them to the office, and depending on their symptoms, they're going to go to what's called a incubation or isolation room. And from there, there's going to have to be a form filled out and then another form filled out for the parents, giving very clear directions. So what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to give them a nugget of information, and then in their buildings, they all have their manuals and everything has been delivered to the buildings. They're going to work through that. So to answer your question, it's constant feedback. We want constant feedback. What if, where do we find, how do I get to this? One thing that worked really well in terms of feedback is I used my executive assistant when the principals caught themselves in like you could if and would if things to death in this circumstance, right? I mean, you can just stay in a tailspin. So worked really well is when the principals felt themselves getting there, they put in the chat a question and gave us feedback. And then Nurse Long and my executive assistant Shelley went through each one of those questions, typed up responses and sent it back out to the administrators immediately, so that we're adjusting and flexing, like fluctuating how we do this. And if we have to slow down to help them get to the next level, we pull back. If we need to speed up, we can speed up. The third day is going to be all scenarios. We've created a number of scenarios. They'll be in their teams, and we're going to give them COVID scenarios to work through in their buildings as though it was a real situation. And then day 4 is going to focus on school health minus COVID, just our medication intake and all the laws and practices around that.
Okay, I'm sorry, Dr. Hitchcock, did you?
Yeah, I couldn't find my little blue hand. I was just going to build on what Carol said. In addition to getting feedback from all of the administrators and administrative assistants, we still have the Teaching and Learning Council. We have all district staff meetings, so those fireside chats that we have planned for 2 for this week, 1 for the following week, and we had 1 the previous week. Are opportunities for any staff member to ask any question. We've asked all of our principals to compile questions that they're receiving from staff members in an effort to create an FAQ document. It's natural for everyone to look to us for the answers, but some of these things are new to everyone. So we're going to have to sort through some of the questions that come up. So they have an opportunity to do that. Of course, within their buildings with their principals throughout the day. I know that principals are regularly fielding emails, as well as I field emails, calls, questions. So we've tried to create an open door, open camera policy, so everyone can ask the questions that they want to ask. Additionally, we still have our weekly union pulse check meeting, which includes all of the executive team members on cabinet and all presidents of the associations. So if there's a staff member that doesn't feel comfortable sharing something, individually, they can share that information through their union representation. So I just wanted to build on that because I wasn't sure if you were thinking general staff like teachers and counselors and paras, or who you were referring to. So I wanted to cover all of the above.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do any other board members have questions? All right, then we will move on to public participation. Ms. Lunkins, can you please read public participation? You're going to need to unmute yourself. Trustee Lunkins.
Okay. Members of the audience are invited to participate at board meetings prior to the business portion of the meeting, following conclusion of reports, and prior to the adjournment of each meeting. You will be asked by the board president and asked to give your name and address before making your comments. Please present a concise statement of your concerns. The board president may choose to limit your presentation to 3 minutes. In order, all who wish to speak may have the opportunity to do so. Thank you for your cooperation. We welcome your input and appreciate your presence at our meetings.
Okay, so if there's any members of the public that would like to provide feedback, please indicate that in the chat or raise your hand and I will call on you. If you have questions, please feel free to contact central office or your building administrator because this is one-way communication, so we will not be able to respond to any questions in this forum, but if people have feedback for the board, we do welcome that and welcome you to indicate that you'd like to speak by typing it in the chat or raising your hand using the participants tab. All right, I don't see any public participation. So we will move forward with the agenda to action item 6A. Mr. Smith, can you read action item 6A, please?
He's on mute.
My apologies.
Go get him, Claudette.
Excuse me. February 2021 extended COVID-19 reconfirmation, reconfirmation, in support of strategic plan 1 to 3. Resolved that the Oak Park Board of Education approved the February 2021 extended COVID-19 learning reconfirmation as presented at tonight's meeting, whereby students will remain in 100% remote instruction from February 2021 until April 5th, 2021.
Moved by Trustee Smith, supported by Trustee Lunkins. Do any board members have questions on the motion? All right. Ms. Greer, can you call the roll, please?
Smith,
Yes.
Klein,
No.
Lunkins,
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
Alvin,
Yeah.
Goodfriend,
Yes.
and Hoda.
Yes. So motion passes 6-1. We move on to 6B. Mr. Klein, can you read that?
Sure. Resolved that the Oak Park Board of Education allows Superintendent Hitchcock to receive payment for 10 of her unused vacation days from 2019 through 2020 school year.
Support.
So moved by Trustee Klein, supported by Trustee Goodfriend. Do any board members have questions?
I have just a
I
short
didn't support
comment.
it.
Supported by, I did hear support. Was that
Trustee Goodfriend.
Trustee Lunkins?
Yes.
Okay. So supported by Trustee Lunkins. Do any board members have questions on the motion?
I just want to throw out there that thank you, Dr. Hitchcock. Obviously, you had these unused vacation days for a reason. You've been, just shoulder to the grind for the last year, and it's been nuts, and we appreciate it. At least I do. I appreciate it for me.
Appreciate it too.
If you go,
Thank you.
if you go anywhere where the sun is at, please send us some.
I will do that.
Okay.
Okay. Do any Trustee Alvin?
Just confirming that this is something that's been done provisions that have been made for others as well. Is that correct?
Yes, this is the same opportunity that we extended to the rest of our central office staff for their unused vacation days for 2019, 2020, because we recognize that this was a year that the 2019, 2020 school year was a year where a lot of people weren't able to use their vacation days because of the work we needed them helping us out with in central office to get things transferred in those months of March, April, and May. And so it's the same courtesy that we extended to those employees.
So yeah, so thank you. I think this is, to me, it's a no-brainer then. Thank you for your, for grinding in that way, Dr. Hitchcock.
Do any other board members have questions? All right, Ms. Greer, can you please call the roll?
Hoda,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Alvin,
Yes.
Lunkins,
Yes.
Copeland, Smith,
Why?
and Goodfriend.
Yes.
Did you hear my vote?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Was that unanimous, 7-0? I
Yeah.
think so. All right. So thank you, everyone. And we move on to information items. Are there information items to come before the board at this time?
I have something, but I don't know if it's called an information item or not.
Is it, maybe it's information items are things that we're considering to vote on at the next meeting.
Okay, it might be a communication.
Okay. So we'll move on to communication and we'll start with members of the community. If there are members of the community that would like to give feedback to the board at this time. Again, this is an opportunity. You can comment in the chat that you'd like to speak or raise your hand using the participant tab and I will call on you and you can unmute yourself.
Can I speak?
We're going to get to board members in a moment. Right now, we're asking for members of the community.
Oh.
And I don't see anything for members of the community. Oh, I'm sorry. Yanis Rhodes.
Hi, my name is Yanis Rose, and my address is 28755 Alice K, Farmington Hills, Michigan. And I do have a few concerns or items that I did want to speak about. I am a staff member at Key Elementary, and just regarding the, I guess, the return plan. I do understand, and I appreciate the work that you guys have done. I know this is hard. The hard decisions have to be made, and the students would do better if they are in school, but I'm just not sure of the timeline that is necessary to return at that date. So my first concern is that the elementary students are the students who are returning immediately following spring break. And as of right now, and also it's the day after Easter. And so we know that there will be many family gatherings, and we can expect them to be traveling all over the country, because every time we have a break and we come back and we say, what did you do? Students are reporting that they've gone to Vegas, they go to Disney, and they're just really out and exposed to different elements and areas that have high levels of COVID. And so my question for that concern is, would it be possible to consider pushing that date back for at least a week, so that if students do come and they do have symptoms, that they can start displaying them and not actually expose the staff that is at work to those to any COVID issues. Also, my home district returned fully in January. And every week, almost on a daily basis, we get emailed reports of new cases at every level. And they're at elementary, middle school, high school, and staff. Almost every day, we get a report that there is a new testing of COVID positivity. And people have been notified. But, that's still someone who's dealing with the virus. And, that's just a major concern. Another concern at the elementary level, we kind of have a unique case because our students are, housed in with their homeroom teacher, but the elementary specials teacher, the specialty areas will be traveling from class to class to provide the enrichment for the students, which kind of puts the elementary specials teachers at a high risk because they're traveling from class to class, maybe not knowing that someone might be displaying symptoms or maybe they aren't, but they're potentially being exposed to every kid that could possibly have it. And then also taking it from class to class, which could just, just have astronomical numbers of how it can spread, because a lot of the students have siblings in the school and outside of the school and in the other schools. And so I was kind of wondering what would be the protocol for a specials teacher if an infection occurred in a class that they had attended, maybe not even that day, but the day before or so on. So, and what other precautions are there? Let's see, there's, for those of us who aren't able to get vaccines right now due to being immunocompromised, that's going to put us in a very hard predicament. And it's not like we just are saying, no, I don't want to get it. At this particular moment, there are several staff members who are not able or not approved to get it. And personally, I'm allergic to almost every medicine there is. So I don't even know which one I could get. So, and I did want to know what, further documentation will be necessary to support, maybe if not virtual at home, but virtual in the building and not interacting with students directly, because that would be direct exposure, for me and for several other staff members. And then finally, well, almost finally, at the last staff meeting, at the last board meeting, there was a member from the community who had previous ties to the district who made a comment that stated, why wouldn't teachers want to willingly risk their lives for our students? And I was very appalled, and I wanted to speak, but I was not in a headspace that would allow me to speak in a way that would be acceptable. First of all, I'm a single parent, and that's not by choice. My child has autism. If I am no longer here or I'm severely ill, what's going to happen to him? So those are my statements. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rhodes. And once again, I would encourage you to speak with your building administrator and speak with and attend some of those information sessions, and hopefully you'll be able to get more information about that. There was someone else who had their hand up, but then their hand went down. So was there someone else from the community that wanted to make comment at this time? You can indicate that in the chat or raise your hand using the participants tab. Mr. Carter.
Hello, everybody. My name is Adam Carter. My address is 4305 Aretha Avenue in Detroit, 48201. I am a teacher at Key Elementary. And just a couple of questions that I had and just were a little, just unsure about was, I guess the first is, and I don't know if this is for the board meeting or for the fireside chat tomorrow. When we're reaching out to the parents this week to try to get that information from them, one of their questions is about those three choices, and they kind of want to know which of the three we're going with. Are they going to be back 5 days a week? Is it going to be a hybrid? Are they going to be the learning pods? And we're trying to tell them that it's just kind of based off of the numbers. And so we can't really get a good understanding on if they are really going to attend or not, just because they don't have the information that they need. So that was just one thing that I just kind of had a question about. And then with that, also the plan that we do decide, is that going to be given out next week? With that information has to be turned in on Friday. And I guess just the final thing that I wanted to address is for those staff members who well, I guess all of us are returning, but for since we're returning, and like myself, I have a young child who's here with me at home, and I'm, teaching my students and kind of helping and watching her. And I know there are others who have the same, where necessarily childcare isn't an option right now because her daycare is not in session, and it's been difficult to try to find one that I feel comfortable sending her to. We just have had some concerns and questions about, those teachers who have the children who kids aren't going back to school, and just kind of like what we can do to help out those teachers.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? Again, you can type in the chat that you'd like to speak or raise your hand using the participants tab.
You not hear the dog whining? Take him to the bathroom. Let him out to use the bathroom. That's why he's.
All right. I don't see any, so we'll move on. And once again, thank you for your input, and I hope people do seek that information from building administrators. I know there's a lot of information that's been shared. I think a lot of the answers are in the information that's been shared, and also information that you can find from your building leaders and what's posted on the website. So we move on to, are there communications from members of the board? Trustee Lunkins?
You're on mute, Claudette.
No kidding. Dr. Colbert, ask a question. We have two technology, huh? We have two technology people that worked with us for years. And I tried to call Oak Park Technology today, and I got Oakland Schools. I don't know what's going on, if there's a private number to call, but all I know is that when I call Oak Park, I get Oakland Schools.
Trustee Lunkins, I'm going to jump in there. I think this is a matter that we actually voted on at our last board meeting and has been shared with the board a number of times, but I appreciate the question. I think you can contact the superintendent. I don't know if a board meeting is where we want to address that particular question.
That's why I just asked. She'll call me and give me what I need.
Okay, great. But let's keep our communications relevant to our public meeting. So are there any board members that have communications at this time? Trustee Goodfriend?
Excuse me, but I do believe that tonight we should all be able to at least take a moment of silence for those that we've lost this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Goodfriend. And certainly as we hit a terrible benchmark in our country of 500,000 people who have died from COVID-19, we certainly, our thoughts are with those who we've lost. Any other board members, do any other board members have communications at this time?
I don't know if this is really communication. I noticed that Ms. Cassandra changed her hair, and I think it looks great.
Okay.
That's it.
Oh, that wouldn't be related to the meeting, but okay.
No, Mr. Klein, I noticed that too.
Thank you. Thank you kindly.
And it does look nice.
And Al Smith, your hair looks great too.
Okay.
Any other board members have communications?
Yeah.
So I want to remind the board, we do have on Wednesday night, two days from today, the Oakland County School Boards Association is hosting a workshop for board members and superintendents on creating a social contract around the MASB's governance standards. And as I communicated in an email previously, I really hope that everyone is able to make it to that training. I think it would really help us build on the momentum that we've been making to make our meetings more productive and more positive and more collaborative. I know that Dr. Hitchcock will be attending. I will be there. I hope that everyone else is able to register. You can contact Oakland County School Board Association, or if you have questions about how to register, you can certainly contact me and I can forward you that information. So I look forward to seeing everyone there Wednesday night at 6:30 on Zoom. And us being able to use that to continue building on a positive trajectory here in our board meetings.
Yeah. Mr. Hoyt, I do have one real quick one. Yeah, I just want to thank Mr. Weaver and Dr. Hitchcock and the staff in the Oak Park School District for our recognition of school board members, and just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Are there any members of the administration that have communications for the board? All right, one other thing, just for the, I'm sorry, Dr. Hitchcock, did you have?
I was just going to say something really briefly about Mr. Weaver as well. Just another opportunity to thank him for his support. In addition to the support of school board recognition, he also donated many Walmart gift cards to families in need. And we truly appreciate the support, and we'll be distributing those to our principals to give to families who need some additional support at this time. So thank you so much, Mr. Weaver.
Thanks, Mr. Weaver.
Thank you. I want to remind the community and the board members that right now there is, especially as we get ready to return to in-person learning, there is money that was allocated by the federal government to the state of Michigan to provide to school districts in order to facilitate in-person learning. Right now, the legislature is holding up on that money, and there's a possibility that the state of Michigan could end up losing that money. And so if you feel that that money should be allocated to the school districts, this is money coming from the federal government to the state of Michigan to provide school districts with support to make the appropriate updates and necessary, then make sure that your legislators know that, because right now, as I said, it's the governor has put forth a proposal for that, and it's right now being held up in the legislature. So if there's nothing else to come before the board, we can, if there's no objection, we can adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Support.
Okay, with no objection, this meeting of the Board of Education is adjourned at 8:03 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Announce the next meeting.
Oh, our next
meeting is March 8th.
Yeah, March 8th.
Mute yourself.
Yep, I got it. March 8th.
March 8th, 7 o'clock.
Yep.
See everyone then. Thank you.
See you, everybody.